good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime. We're coming to you live from our studios here at Kukumlemle. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Tonight, Attorney General accuses Ghana Bar Association of abandoning its professional roots and descending into politics, describing the bar as self-serving and inconsistent. But the association describes the removal process of the former Chief Justice as unfair, warning it sets a dangerous precedent for the country's judiciary. Also tonight, government reveals more details on its decision to receive West Africans deported from the United States under a third country arrangement, assuring the public that no hardened criminal will be accepted, with all individuals properly vetted. Chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee takes on Parliament in what he describes as opaqueness in parliamentary transactions, especially during Article 71 emolument consideration. Remember, we are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. My name is Faustina Safa. It's a good time to take a seat and please be my guest. Thanks for choosing us. Tonight, the Attorney General and the Ghana Bar Association are sharply divided over the integrity of the country's judiciary. The AG, Dr. Dominic Ayine, has accused the bar of abandoning its professional roots, bowing to partisan politics and becoming self-serving. But the GBA President, Ifagate, insists the removal of the former Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo was unfair, warning it undermines judicial independence. The clash played out at the opening of the association's annual conference in Wa. Rafik Salam reports.
Dr. Dominic Ayine went in for the jugular, expressing his disappointment over what he described as the association's inconsistent advocacy and bias in addressing constitutional matters.
When in 2015, an Article 146 petition was received by the Chief Justice in relation to the former chairperson of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Madame Loretta Lamte, the bar failed to speak out about process. In the run-up to the 2016 elections, the then opposition New Patriotic Party engaged the Electoral Commission in court battles over the voter identification system. This gave rise to the Abu Ramadan line of cases. Immediately upon assuming office in 2017, an Article 146 petition was filed for the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, and her deputies from office. The bar saw no basis to speak out about compliance with due process. But in recent times, the bar found its voice when petitions based upon the same constitutionally defined procedures were brought in respect of the removal from office of the former Chief Justice, Mrs. Gertrude Torkornoo. Ladies and gentlemen, the honest question we have to ask ourselves is, what changed?
He mooted the following as a way of bringing fairness, impartiality, and being the moral compass of the society.
As Lord Denning once wrote, and I quote, "Justice must be rooted in confidence, and confidence is destroyed when right-minded people go away thinking that the judge was biased." The same applies to the bar. Our authority as a profession depends on public confidence that we stand above the fray of narrow partisanship. Let us therefore be the conscience of the Republic, fearless when governments overreach, impartial when opposition agitates, and always faithful to the sovereignty of the people under the Constitution.
President of the Ghana Bar Association, Mrs. Ifogate's response to the Attorney General was quick. He has no qualms about the implementation of Article 146, but the process used.
The bar recognizes the fact that the power of removal can be exercised under Article 146, but the bar's major concern relates to the process. In the absence of specific rules of procedure, the sketchy process potentially lends itself to arbitrariness and a lack of fairness. Hence the bar's resolution on the matter, which was as follows. The Ghana Bar Association hereby also calls for the immediate enactment of clear and comprehensive regulations relating to matters under Article 146 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to ensure transparency, accountability, and fairness in all proceedings involving Superior Court justice, particularly in the context of the impeachment or removal of such officers.
Well, let's explore this further. Join me now is Professor Kojo, PhD Chair of the School of Law, University of Ghana, is a human rights lawyer. We appreciate your time here on Joy News Prime. We've just been hearing from the AG accusing the bar of bowing to partisan politics. In your view, is this a fair criticism of the bar?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer, but I think I would rather look at the question this way. It looks like it's becoming a pattern for attorneys general to use bar conferences to try to criticize the bar and then to sing the praise of the government in power. And that has been the trend. So it's not necessarily surprising coming from the current attorney general. In a sense, in the context that the Bar Association flip-flopped initially with regard to the Chief Justice issue. They said that the rule of law should prevail and there should be fairness in the process. But later on, they changed their position and they came criticizing the government and so on, and even went to the extent of sort of going external, which the Chief Attorney General was talking about. So in that sense, he's right. But in terms of the NDC, the bar finding its voice during the times of the NDC government is, I think, overstretching the issue. And I don't think that is the right tone to set for the bar conference.
But this is not the first time the AG has attacked the bar, and technically the AG heads the bar. But let's assess the bar's role historically. Has it strayed from its original professional mandate, as the AG suggests?
I don't think so. I think the bar plays continues to play a very important role in our democracy. And so to criticize the bar in that manner would seem to suggest that it has been lying idle and it's not doing any good job. We know that there are some points in time when you hardly would hear from the bar. But in every shape or form, they have still been the vanguards or as part of the vanguards for democracy in the country. So that part cannot be taken away from them. But at the same time, you cannot also say that there have not been any weaknesses from the part of the bar. So overall, they are doing something, but one would have expected that they could do better than what they are doing.
And then before I let you go, I'm wondering what risk really that such a public rebuke from the Attorney General posed to the public confidence in the judiciary?
Yeah, that is what my concern is. So doing openly criticizing the bar in this manner questions the integrity of at least the executives. And I think that is not the proper way to go about this. It certainly may shake the confidence of the bar and the judiciary. But the bar has generally been quite resolute in trying to defend the judiciary because, as you know, the judiciary usually doesn't come out to openly to defend itself in case of any bad comments or any criticisms against it. So the bar sometimes takes that position to talk about, to defend the independence of the judiciary. And the bar also plays a very important role in the Judicial Council, in the General Legal Council, and so on. So in all these areas, they play a very important role. But that we should not lose sight of the fact that there are certain things that they can do better. But it's also wrong. For example, I heard one NDC legal person saying that the bar has become an appendage of the NPP. I think that is going too far and criticizing or politicizing the functions of the bar.
It's quite unfortunate that the release of the court would.
For your time here on Joy News Prime. Away from that, government is pushing back against criticism over its decision to receive West Africans deported from United States under a third country arrangement. The Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa says no hardened criminals will be accepted, stressing that every individual will be thoroughly vetted. The minority, however, wants the deal suspended, describing it as unconstitutional and a threat to national sovereignty. Maxwell Agbagba has more in the following report.
The Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa touched on a wide range of issues, including the decision by Ghana to accept some 14 deportees, West African deportees, to Ghana. The minority in Parliament on the Foreign Affairs Committee over the weekend raised concerns that the decision breaches the Constitution, specifically Article 75. In his address, the Foreign Affairs Minister stated that as it stands now, it remains a memorandum of understanding, not a bilateral agreement.
Let me emphasize that under this understanding with the United States, Ghana must first independently vet the background of those the U.S. intends to deport to first satisfy ourselves that they do not pose any threat to the security of our country and that they cannot harm our citizens. May I assure the nation that if this initial understanding is elevated into a full-blown agreement, we shall not hesitate to comply with Article 75 of the 1992 Constitution by proceeding to Parliament for ratification.
The minister stated that the decision to receive the West African deportees was solely based on humanitarian and Pan-African grounds. It says Ghana is not receiving any money for accepting the West African deportees.
Ghana has not received and does not seek any financial compensation or material benefit in relation to this understanding. Our decision is grounded purely on humanitarian principle and Pan-African solidarity.
Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa has also been responding to questions on whether Ghana needs a new presidential jet. He stated that his stance on the matter over the years has been based on principle and says he holds nothing against the now former President Akufo-Addo.
President Akufo-Addo himself promised us at his inauguration that he was coming to protect the public purse. So I do not see why some people want to use this as some opportunity to settle, political scores and to come after me in the most unfair manner. Everything I stood for, I still stand for that. And I still maintain that Ghana needs a presidential travel policy. And so these things are not targeted at any specific person.
Away from that, sophisticated weapons in the hands of illegal miners. That's the new threat confronting Galamsey fight. The National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat is calling for urgent retooling of security agencies, warning the menace cannot be tackled without stronger backing for the forces. Stephen Mensah has more in the following report.
The National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat is calling for the urgent retooling of security agencies, warning that the Galamsey menace has escalated beyond environmental destruction, with illegal miners increasingly armed and violent. The appeal comes as the Ghana Water Company is forced to shut down its Winneba treatment plant due to high turbidity. WO1 Gloria Ezian of Naimo says the fight can only be won through retooling security agencies.
You go to the field and you see them holding weapons that you don't even have any idea where they got it from. So we just have to protect ourselves. And we need more equipment to be protective so we can fall casualty to any of their actions. And it is true, they have a lot of weapons over there. We don't need to do it just once. It needs to be frequent.
Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Ama Kofi-Boa, speaking at the press briefing, clarifies on the operations of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat.
We have strange people that the government does not recognize. And that is why the police, the army, the national security and all the other security institutions have come together. Each one have their representation for us to have a coordinated amount. They are also going to still work with the police and other institutions in the various barracks. But the coordinating arm, including the district assembly, the coordinating arm of this enforcement is with NAMOS.
Meanwhile, Gold Board has officially donated 5 Toyota Hilux trucks and 5 million Ghana cedis to the Lands Ministry as part of its commitment to the fight against illegal mining. Sami Jemfi is the Chief Executive Officer for Gold Board.
Yes, we want gold, but we want gold that is mined responsibly. We want gold that is sourced responsibly, and we'll stop at nothing in supporting the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources in achieving that. Because when the gold is mined and sourced responsibly, we get better value, and the reputation of the nation is enhanced, our environment is protected, lives are preserved, which is more important than any other thing.
The Secretariat says it is determined to curb the menace, but insists lasting results will depend on stronger collaboration between government agencies, security forces and local communities. Stephen Mensah's report for Joy News.
Still on illegal mining, the coalition against Galamsey Ghana is piling pressure on President John Dramani Mahama to immediately dismiss metropolis, municipal and district chief executives, as well as police and investigative bureau commanders in areas where illegal mining is still rampant. For the coalition, the continued destruction of forests, rivers and farmlands is proof enough that these officials have either failed in their duty or are quietly aiding the menace. More in the following report.
Convener of the coalition against Galamsey Ghana, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, says no official complete ignorance while water bodies are destroyed and farmlands dug up by excavators. He argues that if Galamsey persists under their watch, it reflects incompetence at best and complicit at worst.
Any MCE or DCE who has Galamsey still happening in their district or in the municipality for incompetence, they should be investigated for complicity in these environmental crimes. The same should apply to the police and the National Investigative Bureau commanders in this district and municipalities. If they are still in there representing the president and Galamsey is still happening and we've not heard them screaming out loud for support, then they are either incompetent or complicit or both.
Meanwhile, Deputy CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority, Professor Michael Ayamba, rejected calls for a state of emergency, warning that deploying armed forces into mining communities could spark violent clashes rather than solve the problem.
It's easier said than done that declare state of emergency, go there with guns and shoot it. I can tell you everybody calling for the state of emergency.
They don't know what they are calling for.
They don't know what they are calling for because the cost of human life there is going to be enormous that we may not even, in the end Galamsey, we may end up having a conflict growing out of it.
Government spokesperson Phyllis Kwachi Ofosu has also challenged critics who claim Galamsey has worsened under President John Dramani Mahama to provide evidence. He insists government has rolled out several measures to curb the menace.
And even as we take steps to fight it, those who are engaged in it still find reason to go back. And some time ago I said that the Galamsey fight has to be an eternal fight. It was taken out of context to mean that we will never win it. But we have to maintain eternal vigilance. That is why, as part of the efforts going forward, all those places that have been reclaimed, the soldiers and the security forces won't leave. They will set up permanent camps to ensure that people don't come. At least the 44 forest reserves that were endangered. And all the riverine areas of Ghana will have permanent security presence to ensure that people do not come back. And that will be rolled out in the coming days.
The debate over how best to deal with Galamsey is far from over.
Away from illegal mining, the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, has taken on Parliament over the non-disclosure of salaries and ex gratia of members of Parliament, members of the executives and other Article 71 office holders. Speaking at the launch of an Open Society Foundation and International Development Economics Association report on democratic governance and economic justice at the University of Ghana, Professor Kwesi Prempeh says the opaqueness that surrounds the emolument committee and the parliamentary approval process does not help with transparency and growth of Ghana's democracy.
We need an open parliament. That is supposed to be the People's Assembly, right? That is where policy making is finalized. And if you do not have a right to public participation in that forum, in those processes, what outcomes are you going to get? In fact, it's gotten so bad that sometimes they sack members of the public from the public gallery and do business. You know when that happens? When they are considering the Article 71 committee report, which is the report of the committee that fixes the emoluments of members of parliament and the president. They actually physically sack the voters who put them there. They exclude you from the forum, and they make that decision on your blind side. Most of us don't know how our ministers, members of parliament cast their votes because it's actually secret. They do it by voice vote often. Very rarely do you see a division, and when you see a division, it's not even, you don't know how your member of parliament voted. So this is the kind of democracy we're practicing. It is not, in my view, a democracy problem. It is a type of democracy problem. And we must, if we deny ourselves the agency to correct that, that would be a tragedy.
Well, let's explore this further. Joining me now is Osei Mensah Bonsu. He is a former Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, also the former Majority Leader. We appreciate your time here on Joy News Prime. Now, for my audience and most people watching, the curiosity really is why exactly the determination of salaries and ex gratia for your colleagues and other Article 7 office holders seem to be kept away from the public. You were the leader of the House before. Why do you shut your doors to the public when approving this?
Well, thank you very much for having me. But let me just reiterate this point that I've always made. Anytime I've had some discussions with you on Article 71 office holders, the emoluments of those categories of officers listed in Article 71. People talk about ex gratia. I've always insisted that there's nothing like ex gratia that is paid to the ministers, members of parliament, and so on. What is given there is gratuity, and there's a world of difference between gratuity and ex gratia. Having said that, I agree with Professor Kwesi Prempeh on the fact that there should be greater transparency in the fixing of the emoluments of the officers listed under Article 71. I agree. However, you see, it is a very construct of Article 71 that limits the transparency in the matter. First of all, it's important to also clear the air about what Parliament does. Parliament only makes a determination after a committee that has been established by the President makes some proposals. And Parliament's determination is in respect of the President, the Vice President, the Chairman and other members of the Council of State, Ministers of State and their deputies. That is what Parliament does. What Parliament does has nothing to do with the members of Parliament, the Speaker, and so on. The emoluments of the Speaker, Deputy Speakers, and members of Parliament are fixed by, or the determination on them are made by the President, the Chief Justice and other justices of the Superior Court of Judicature, the Auditor General, the Chairman and Deputy Chairman of the Electoral Commission, the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and their deputies, this Assembly's Common Fund Administrator, the Chairman, Vice Chairman, and other members of the National Council for Higher Education, the Public Service Commission, the National Media Commission, Lands Commission, the National Commission for Civic Education, NCC, Media Commission, and all those.
Okay.
Those ones are determined by the president. So if you look at the entire government of the listed officers, it's only in respect of the president, ministers, and the chairman of the Council of State and the other members, whose salaries are determined by Parliament.
But then you agree that the process as we have it does not only smirk of corruption, but also has serious implications for our democratic process.
What is the corruption? What is the corruption involved in this? In determining the salary, what is corrupt about that? If you're talking about transparency, I agree that we need to shed more light on that. But to say that that is a mark of corruption, I disagree. But I agree that we should shed more light on that. But I was saying that if you look at all the other officers that are listed, they are approved by the president, often in consultation with cabinet ministers. And as cabinet, the considerations are cabinet, are they open to the public? They are not. And that is why I said that the very construct of Article 71 then is a problem. I have always insisted that we should have a committee make the determination, and then we should build into that determination some triggers, for instance, relating to inflation index, the depreciation of the cedi, interest rates, and so on. Build in those triggers such that succeeding administration, succeeding president will not have to set up any new committee. So I think that may be the way to go, which is part of the recommendations, for instance, that I submitted to the Constitutional Review Committee. But having said that, isn't it curious that even within the public service, when the tripartite committee is meeting every year to determine the minimum wage, is the public privy to the discourse that goes on there? And yet the monies are to be taken from the national kitty. So you see, the entire public service or public servants who take their emoluments from the national kitty, when it comes to discussing the emoluments, the basic wage, the minimum wage, the public is not privy to it. So maybe we should be concerned as a country. If lies should be shared everywhere. It is not just in respect of the ministers, the president, members of parliament, and so on. We should be transparent, I agree. But the light should reflect everywhere.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. You're still watching Joy News Prime. When we return, we have more in store for you. Please stay tuned in. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. To other stories now, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, along with Concerned Drivers Association and the Container Owners Association, is set to embark on industrial action tomorrow. The protest comes in response to private business takeovers of the CMB lorry station, which is designated for passengers onboarding. Mama Visefa Kote has more in the following report.
Chanting war songs to express their anger and clad in red headbands, three associations, Ghana Private Roads and Transport Union, Containers Owners Association and Concerned Drivers, have come together to demand redress, warning that there will be no vehicular movement tomorrow as they embark on an industrial action. At a news conference, the National Public Relations Officer, or the GPRTU, Alhaji Abbas Ibrahim Imoru, explained that the three groups are uniting to submit a petition to President John Mahama regarding the takeover of the CMB parking lot by private businesses.
For some time now, some businessmen have invaded a lorry park most of the portion has been taken away from us. We try to manage the little that is left with us. Yet another businessman have come up to take the remaining from us. Tomorrow, God willing, if we are all safe, we will embark on a strike and present petition to the president.
The chairperson of the Container Owners Association, Dinah Nyakuma Daniels, cautioned the chief of Achimwenchi Dase Benyako, whom she described as Ahab, to stay off their land, stating that the CMB and Abuja land do not belong to him.
We are appealing to the president that please, 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 they should call the man into order. And the man should not dare, because GPRTU, Containers Owners Association, and the traders, in fact, we are so angry and we are like a wounded lion, and we will not allow this thing to happen to us. This is not the first time, the second time. Enough is enough. So we are calling on Ahab Dasibre Nyakon, get away from our land.
The chairperson of the Concerned Drivers Association, David Agbuado, warned members not to violate the group's directives during tomorrow's strike.
Here was known as Accra Novotel. By then, we have only 2 stations in Accra. Either you go to Novotel or you go to CMB. When Novotel was taken over, they give us another place. But CMB is now being taken over by private individual, which they haven't have any alternative for us. Tomorrow, we mean tomorrow, no vehicle will get into inner city of Accra. All of us are parking our vehicle.
To put their steers down, they are urging the public to bear with them, emphasizing that the business takeovers are a matter of serious concern. Mama Visafa Cortez report for Joy News.
Away from that, the International Fund for Public Interest Media has applauded Joy News for its stellar performance in sustaining public interest journalism. This comes during an official visit by the global CEO and a delegation from the African Region Office to the Multimedia Group. My colleague Jacqueline Ansumayebwa has more in the following report.
Most news media outlets the world over are constrained by the cost of pursuing human interest stories. Though very impactful and result-oriented, the cost of producing and broadcasting such contents is capital-intensive and puts lots of strain on newsroom budgets. The situation eventually forces them to settle for the easy-go subjects everyone is clinged onto. This is where the International Fund for Public Interest Media comes in. It also helps to safeguard the editorial control of the news media against any external influence. As one of the beneficiaries of the fund, Joy News has increased its public interest content programming while building capacity of personnel to do same. Evans Mensah is senior news editor at Joy News.
It's really what defines Joy News over the years. Public interest journalism is something that we take very seriously.
After almost 2 years, IFPIM checked in to know at first hand what it is like at Joy News with your support.
I was also a journalist. I was also a broadcast journalist. Actually, I started my career as a journalist from school, and but now I work with IFPIM and supporting journalism across Africa and the Middle East as the regional director. So I'm really pleased to be here. You know, Joy News is our first and only so far grantee in Ghana.
Global CEO of IFPIM, Nishant Lawani, in the company of the delegation from the Africa and Middle East Regional Office, toured the business unit of the Multimedia Group.
Really insightful to look around your studios and to meet you all, so I appreciate it. We started working on it about 6 or 7 years ago and launched it 3 years ago in 2022. Since then, we've done 124 grants across more than 30 countries. We started because we found that there was a massive gap in supporting independent journalism, and that we want to radically increase the amount of money that's going to independent journalism, in particular across Africa and Asia and the Middle East and Latin America.
Chief Operating Officer of the Multimedia Group, Ken Ansah, said the support by IFPIM, particularly to Joy News, has been transformational and inspiring.
We've been doing impactful documentaries
way along. But then now we are doing a lot more. We are producing a lot more, and now you are able to also measure the impact more clearly because of digital, and you can see the interventions that are coming and what differences those are making.
Got better when we got the IFPIM partnership.
IFPIM expressed hope that they would get to see more intriguing results and impact during their next visit to Ghana. The team encouraged Joy News to sustain the gains. A report by Jacqueline Ansuma Yebua.
Away from that, some residents of Binyiri in the Savannah region who fled into neighboring Ivory Coast following recent conflicts say they will consider government's appeal to return home. The Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who visited a refugee camp in Ivory Coast, assured the displaced residents that calm has been restored to the community. He urged them to return, especially women and children who have been out of school for days. Head of our diplomatic desk, Blessed Suga, accompanied the minister on that mission and filed this report.
And you hear from him.
Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa receiving a warm welcome to Vankoro, a border community in Ivory Coast providing temporary shelter for refugees fleeing the recent escalation of tension at Binyiri in the Savannah region. Addressing the gathering, the minister says it is time for the refugees to return, adding that President John Mahama has set in motion further measures to de-escalate tension.
Now the latest census that has been conducted indicates that you have reduced to about 5,309, and so that means that more than half have returned. We want to encourage all of you to return. President Mahama, as Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, has put in place a number of measures. There's been massive security deployment. Camps have been established. A committee has been set up to mediate between the traditional leaders on all sides, and calm has been restored.
When asked if they were ready to return, one of the refugees who spoke on behalf of his friends and family says they are still living in fear, notwithstanding their desire to return home.
When I realized I was hearing a shoot near our village, so when I realized people came out with guns, started killing people like fowls, destroying houses and properties. So it made us run to the bush. So the following morning, we tried to cross the border here.
The minister is saying that you'd have to return. Are you willing to come back home?
Yeah. We are willing to come back. Why? Because there is our normal habitat. But per how the situation is, it makes us, we fear.
So we're just going into one of the rooms where we're set to see the living condition of the people here. The foreign minister is being given a tour just to see the living condition of some of the people, as you can see.
They are doing well. I was with them earlier. You were with me when we drove through the communities, and they are doing fine. Right. So I've been assuring them that they should not be afraid. They should go back. President Mahama is expecting them to come back home. So we expect the latest census we did, 5,309, still here, and we expect all of them to return. But in the meantime, we'll make sure that those who are staying here receive the care. That's why President Mahama gave me the 6 million CFA to donate for support, particularly those who need some medical bills sorted out and who will want to be assisted to go back. And then I've also observed that we need to provide electricity here. Right. I've been told that there is a fee we need to pay to the local authorities, so I've asked the regional minister to quickly get us the invoice so that we can take care of that.
What kept you going? What kept you going? It's been a very long journey for you. What kept you going?
Compassion, love for my people, and a strong determination to duty to serve the people. That's what service is about. It's not always going to be as planned. Sometimes it's going to be very turbulent, it's going to be risky, but you have to keep going for God and country.
You're still watching Joy News Prime. When we return, we'll bring you showbiz. Please stay tuned in.